So the title of the exhibit is Sharkabet, and as the name implies, it's a survey of the remarkable diversity of sharks that have existed on Earth for the past 400 million years. So as the name suggests, Sharkabet, it's one work of art for every letter of the alphabet, from angel sharks to zebra sharks. The artwork was done by Alaskan artist Ray Troll. He's well known for kind of doing quirky art, but it's also scientifically accurate. And he has a really interesting sense of humor, and that certainly comes through in the works of art that are displayed here. So every year, once a year, we have a one-day event here at the museum known as Shark Fest, where we celebrate sharks, both extinct and living sharks. And so we're hoping that we'll be able to get Ray Troll here as part of that exhibit. And I would love for him to be able to do a workshop on the style of art that he does and show us how he comes up with these beautiful renderings of these sharks. Some of my favorites include the little tiny Iniopterygians. These are a group of sharks that had very large front flippers, almost like little fins. And it's been proposed that these were the flying fish equivalents in the shark realm that existed many millions of years ago. There's also our perennial favorite, Megalodon, with the giant extinct shark, very large teeth, and those are found along Calvert cliffs. There's also Helicoprion, which is a type of shark that has sort of this whorl of shark teeth in its lower jaw. So teeth germinate deep in the jaw, and they sort of would rotate out, but instead of the teeth being shed, they would just continue to grow around, and so there was this wheel-like structure. Not that it turned on itself quickly, but very slowly the teeth would move out and form part of the dentition of this very unusual shark. This is a cast replica, so it's a copy of a section of the lower jaw of a type of shark known as the scissor jaw shark. And remarkably, this is like the lower jaw. So you would expect for there to be a mirror image of this to form sort of a traditional lower jaw, right? And there'd be the same thing in the upper jaw coming down. But in fact, these sharks had this midline element, and this was what all that there was in the lower jaw. Okay? And in the upper jaw, there'd be a counterpart to this, same kind of arrangement. And these two jaws would come together very much like giant pinking shears. So the teeth would originate, so this is the outside of the jaw, and this is sort of the inside of the jaw. And so teeth would originate inside the mouth, as in modern sharks. They germinate deep in the jaw, and they grow out, kind of moving very slowly in a conveyor belt-like style. And so these are the older teeth, and these are younger teeth down here. So this shark is obviously extinct. It lived 300 million years ago, so it's a very ancient kind of shark. So we're far removed from these sharks. But I find it fascinating because of the way that their jaws were shaped. And all they had was this element here and another one in the top. So it's difficult to imagine how an animal like that would feed. So you can imagine it coming up to a large fish that lived at that time and kind of clamping down onto it and maybe sort of jerking it back and swallowing the thing whole. Or possibly, very much like pinking shears, it did try to force its way through the body of the fish that it was feeding on. People are fascinated with sharks. I think it's because they're large predatory sharks. There's that element of fear. And so because they strike fear in the hearts of people, we're fascinated by sharks. But in fact, when you look at living sharks, most sharks are quite small and pose no threat to humans. We're by far the greatest threat to sharks and to their survival that sharks have ever encountered at any point in their evolutionary history. What I love most about my job here at the Marine Museum is that I get to do research on extinct sharks and on other animals that are now extinct that once lived in this area. And I'm exceedingly fortunate that there are a lot of amateur and avocational paleontologists that bring fossils to us. And so I have in my office unique things that have never been seen before, and I get to do research on those and write scientific papers and disseminate that knowledge. And so part of that disseminating knowledge is to bring the public along with me, is to show them and excite them like I get excited over extinct animals. And I want them to be part of that sense of discovery. They're going to get quality time together, experiencing the diversity of sharks through time, looking at restorations of what Ray Troll thought some of these extinct sharks looked like.